Hey, HCDA, and today we're playing some more Oddsparks, and as you can see, my little factory is full of life. There's several hundred of these things already running around in my factory, and I think today what we're going to do is expand beyond the foresty area, or at least adventure beyond that, because I'm running out of things to do here. I think I used all of the shrines that we have available here. No, actually, hold on. We have the Arty Shrine over here. We also have the Rocky Spark Shrine here in the mountains and the Scouty Spark Shrine over here. I guess that's our next 3 targets or so, but let's check out the technology tree. Okay, so first of all, I have a quest here that is going to turn aetheric clumps into aetheric pellets by using the cutter. Now, if you're wondering what that is, actually I have several of those. Yeah, over here in my inventory I have 8 of those. They tend to drop from the larger monsters, so that might be a very useful way to generate some more of those pellets that we can also then use to turn into sparks, basically. So, let me go complete that quest. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, let's put that over here and then switch this recipe to clump dividing. So we're actually going to get 6 of these pellets from every one of the larger ones, and then the smaller ones are turning 1 into 6. So it's 36 sparks, basically, from a single one of these larger things. Now, honestly, I'm not getting that many, but this is still going to be pretty useful. Now, this is definitely not something that needs to have the fancy sparks. 1 per minute is going to be more than enough. Now, even though I am going to put these things in here and make sure that we turn them into the more useful pellets, I am going to store up the pellets because we're going to need them for some of the other quests. For example, we have this quest over here that is going to require to get us 12 of these pellets and 120 wooden panels, and that will actually allow us to make our own waypoints. Now, what I really wonder is, can I farm some additional pellets from these guys? Because I haven't been able to defeat them yet, mostly because they are immune to all the damage from my other sparks. But the choppy ones, well, they seem to have no problem with them whatsoever. And look at the amount of stuff that is dropping from these dudes. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, that's like complete quest completion right over there. Let's also visit the village monument for a moment, so we can unlock the use of the ancient waypoints at range 2. I'm not sure what range 2 is in this case, but do I... Yeah, I was about to say, do I not have any? But I need to click it manually. There we go. Ooh, look, an inventory upgrade. That is definitely something I want, so... An additional row. Yeah, that's gonna make my life a lot easier. Now, what else do we need? The production graph to help review production consumption and balance over time. I need some fertilizer for that. Be right back. And I'm back, so let's go and unlock that. Now, I'm actually wondering, is this something that will show up on my machines, or is it anywhere in my menu? I don't see it anywhere in my menu, so we're gonna have to find that in a moment. Anything else we need to get here? The copy tool that can copy and paste buildings past some more. That sounds really useful. I'm not sure why it took us to tier 3 to unlock this, but okay. We need a Pengus tendon for that, and that's one of the creatures that I think murdered a lot of my minions a while ago. And then for the unlock here, we need quartz. I don't think I've ever seen that one yet, so we might need to do some exploring. We do need a carry spark and a choppy spark as well. We have plenty of those. Not entirely sure where this is supposed to come from. Oh, hold on, we have an additional tab in our overview over here. Okay, so if we look at that, and then we can click, for example, the Stumpy Sparks, what do we see over here? So, this is the production, so sometimes we're producing 6, sometimes we're producing 5 per minute, I guess. The actuary in me is really annoyed by the fact that the axis over here starts at 5 and ends at 6. That's not helpful. But anyway, oh wait, I can click this, so... Our consumption is 0 for the most part, I guess. But aren't we making other sparks as well? Anyway, I don't know. And then if we look at the balance between the two, then we're netting about 6 per minute. Oh, actually, I think I know why this is strictly positive, because I took some out, so it's going to go into the storage. So we're not actually making the other sparks out of it. So this actually makes complete sense. Okay. I think also, by the way, we probably need to upgrade our spark production at some point. But anyway, let's first check out the other quest that we have available. Here we have a quest that is going to allow us to build a spark pen, which is basically something you can put your sparks in. And not entirely sure why we would want that, but let's get it and try it out. Okay, so let me build one of these. This actually has an entrance. So what happens if I build it next to a road? Will they just walk in? No. Can I don't know, put sparks in there? Yes. I actually have no idea what this is supposed to do. I mean, it looks kind of cute, don't get me wrong, but if there's a use for this, I don't know what it is just yet, but you might as well tell me in the comments if you do know. The quartermaster had a second idea, and that is a thing that can actually throw my sparks for me. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I would want to do with that, but, you know, let's just get some wooden panels and blades, and then build one of those and try it out. Well, this building apparently has like a targeting zone along with it. So we can have gathered items in here, which I assume to mean that we can put like sparks in here and that they will fire it in this area. And then what? I mean, it's actually, if you look it up in the building menu, it's set under defense, so I'm gonna have to use my sparks to defend some of my territory, I guess. I'm actually wondering if I can use this to farm the spunnies. Okay, so how about this? I place it down over here. And then I don't know, put a Stumpy Spark in there, and then some more Stumpy Sparks in there. Like this. Wow, okay, well it's like a machine gun. And it is actually going to do that. And then what are you going to do with your... Ah. Oh, and then they return and they... Oh, okay. This is something we can work with. Hold on. Okay, so down here we have all of those evil stumpies. And if I do it something like this... And then kind of repeat what I just did before. So I can just put a... I don't know, we might as well put a... Do I have any... No. It's just a crafty one, yeah. So this one is faster, not sure if that matters. We could use the choppy sparks for this as well, but they're kind of valuable, and I think it's actually overkill. On top of that, this choppy sparks can actually destroy their den, which I'm not sure if I want to do that. So let's just do it like this. And I assume now they will do some fighting. Yeah, they are gonna get themselves killed by the looks of it. But if I'm just gonna lose one every now and then, that's not really a big problem. In fact, I can just set up a little supply depot, and look at that. I mean, we are farming materials here. Now, what I don't know is whether or not these things will still spawn when I'm off screen. And I also probably need to make sure that the stuff that is on the belt here needs somewhere to go. So hold on. Okay, so how about this? I have a little nice supply of stumpies over here that I can just keep filling on. This will last me quite a while, I think. And then over here we have gathered items, and as you can see I have a couple of stumpies, just picking those up, putting them into a basket, and we have a nice little stockpile already. So I'm just going to leave this alone for a little while and then return later to see if this actually gave us anything worthwhile. Okay, I literally got a quest right after I thought of this myself that tells me that I should build a spark tower and kill forest bunnies with them. So obviously this is definitely how you're intended to use these things. And actually I have two locations, I think, where I have these forest bunnies spawn. So let's just set up the second one as well to make sure we get this quest completed. And while I'm waiting for my forest bunny slaughterhouse to do its work, I only have one quest left, and that is to upgrade the village once more. This is going to take a whole bunch of bark and wooden panels and stone, but I have all of that, so that should not really be a problem. Well, there was a lot of resources, but let's see. We just need to give their new home a little cleaning. Can you give us a hand? I sure can. Where are we building? Oh, it's actually right over here. Never mind. Exactly where I thought it was going to be. So, you guys go and build some stuff. Is this gonna be a entrance to a new area? Kinda looks like it, or it's actually just a mine? Huh. Either way, interesting. Okay, so let's see. This is like a giant version of one of the machines I have. And oh boy, we just got a bunch of new quests, but let's see, who do we have here? The Mason Sisters. You made it to the mountains, that's so cool, the mountains are the best place. The mayor said that you needed some stone expertise, and that's where we come in. We are going to be using lots of stone and big chunks of it too. Okay. Well, we need to deliver quartz to them, so hopefully I am going to find some of that soon. So let's see. Are looking to design buildings for your sparks to harvest and process stone. They need some local materials to test out their designs. So, okay, we need quartz, which apparently is local materials, and then we can make stone plates, pebbles, and we can start... Oh, we can actually harvest stones somewhere from a drill. Well, that brings us back to the whole I need to find some quartz. Well, since we're going into the mountains and the quartermaster wants me to help to explore the mountains, I'm gonna deliver some timber, wooden panels and stone to her so we can get ourselves some ladders and ramps. That's definitely going to be helpful to get around. And I'm also hoping that these ramps will allow me to, well, make ramps so I can actually get on and off some of the high and low areas so I don't need to run my paths all the way around. The Woodsman actually also has a quest for me that I can already complete, but that's going to cost me a whole bunch of choppy sparks, but that will allow me to automate my leaves production. Not entirely sure if I need it, because honestly at this point I'm not really using the loamy sparks or the leaves, because quite frankly, you need leaves to make fertilizer, you need fertilizer to make loamy sparks, and the only thing loamy sparks gives me is more trees to make more leaves, so not entirely sure what the point of that is just yet. But this is definitely something we can complete. I'm just gonna wait on it until we actually need it, because, well, the choppy sparks right now are pretty expensive. And of course, in terms of new quests, last but not least, I got a quest for the mayor to upgrade my town, but more importantly, I just got a new quest for these new sparks as well. So it turns out we're gonna need to deliver a rocky and an arty spark, a whole bunch of stumpy ones, not sure why, and then a whole bunch of stones, and then we can learn to actually make the rocky and arty sparks. Anyway, before we go out adventuring, let's see if this little farm over here did its work, and yeah, we do have more than a stack of ether sparks as well as a couple of ether pellets just waiting for us right here. So all in all, working like intended, I would say. How are we doing on the supply of stumpies? Yeah, we're definitely farming a lot more resources than this is going to cost to maintain. So let me fill it up just because I'm here now anyway. But all in all, working like intended, I would say. Now, let's do some exploring. And as usual with these types of games, before you leave to go exploring, make sure you optimize your production. So I added a second spark workbench to make some of these basic stumpy sparks. So I can kind of double up to make sure I'm using all of those ethers that are now coming in and all of the wood I already have available to make sure I'm actually producing as many sparks as I can while I'm away. As it turns out, apparently I need to craft my ladders before I can place them down into the world, so let's set up a tiny little production line for this. And actually, you know what the fun thing about these choppers is? I can turn this into this. That's a lot of trees just gone because I can chop them down now, and I made a little tiny facility over here using the second logger to make some logs, saw them into planks, and I use both the logs and the planks. You can see the part of the logs are going to go past here and the planks are being fed into this wood workshop in order to make some planks. Now the planks are relatively expensive to make. I'm not gonna need a whole lot of those, I don't think, so let's just take, 11 with me. And if I produce any surplus, because this will fill up sooner or later, then at least the rest is going to go into the compressor, where already 10 of those aether residues are waiting for me. Okay, well, the first shrine is actually still in the forest, so we have some ancient buckets over here, but most importantly, we have an Arty Spark shrine over here, but in order to unlock it, we need machine range 3. Now, let me check my overview over here. What do I need? I need a carry spark, quartz, and choppy spark, so once again, we need those quartz crystals wherever they are supposed to come from. Now, the real question is, where do I go into the mountain? Okay, over here. So here's a penguis. Is this something we can just murder like this? I mean, it was gonna do some of those clouds, right? Okay, those clouds are going to stun my creature, so just let's recall them. Let's wait for the cloud to dissipate, I guess, and then just launch a whole bunch more at him. I mean, he was almost dead there. There we go. Okay. So there was a whole bunch of stuff dropping from him. We have the penguin's tendon that we needed, but I don't see any quartz in the list just yet. Oh, wait, hold on. Up there, all the way up there, there is a quartz. So let me see how I get there. I have my ladders. These seem to be a little bit hard to place, but that should do it, I think. Oh, I need to actually click them. Okay, that works. What are you? A fluted vent. Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't expecting to be thrown all over the map, though. Well, on the bright side, there's a lot of quartz over here, so let's pick some of that up. What are these? Coral saplings. They drop something we don't know about, so let's check that out. The choppies seem to be enjoying that quite a bit. Oh, they drop coral. I mean, that's not the most unexpected thing, I guess. What's this? Misty coral emits fog. There's not a lot of fog, but I can't actually take this down because it's immune to the bludgeoning damage and the slashing damage that the choppies do. And my D&D brain is kicking in. Can I destroy these? I think I can actually. Should I be destroying those? I actually don't know because it seems to be the main way of getting around. But I kind of want to know what they drop, so... Root the coral. Okay, so they drop that. These might actually respawn. I don't know. But let me see. I'm gonna need a whole bunch of this rock. So let me cut out a couple of more of them. And I should probably also just take down some of the coral because I'm gonna need it sooner or later. Okay, and then since my exploration paid off, I can use a carry spark, a choppy spark. I should have a couple of those left, yep, and at least one piece of quartz to unlock the machine range 3, which will allow me to actually make those rocky and arty sparks. Let's see, I also got a Tengus pendant. Yes, tendon, and never mind. And this will allow me to copy paste stuff. Okay, that's kind of useful. So you can copy and paste things in my area. It will remember the last thing copied this session. Ah, interesting. I can also use some of that coral I just found and make my sparks be able to rush with all of them. This is just a matter of being a bit more efficient on where to send your sparks. So if I do this, then they just all charge into the nearest target, and that works quite well. Okay, so what do we need for an RT Spark? You can use the RT Spark to color your buildings by throwing them at a paint bucket with paint. Okay then. That sounds interesting, I guess. Anyway, we get one for free. And what do we need to create these things? We need rope, which I can't actually make just yet, so we're gonna have to figure out how to make that. However, we also have another spark. Oh, wait, hold on. I actually just noticed that these buckets suddenly filled up, and we have turpentine here in this paint bucket, so I guess we can use that to unpaint stuff. And we have blue paint over here. Okay, that's interesting. Are there any more buckets? I don't see them. I also don't know if these will refill. Well, there's only one way to find out, I guess. Let's just open them up. Maybe. Maybe not. Well, we'll find out sooner or later, but let's move on to the rocky spark. Oh, look, we have a giant rock over here. I guess that's where we can automate our quartz production at some point. But in the meanwhile, let's get ourselves a rocky spark. Yep, he turns into a thing again. He has a bit better defense. Heavier than wooden sparks and deals impact damage that can destroy boulders. Oh, okay, so I can kind of clear the map out with those. Other than that, they seem to be pretty much equivalent to everything else I already have. Looks like we just need some stones as well as stumpy sparks in order to make these. So these are very easy to make, actually. Not only that, they're kind of cute as well, but I think we should be able to do some different damage with these things. They do impact damage rather than the blunt or choppy damage the other ones do. And yeah, you can see it takes them quite a while, but they can actually clear out these boulders. And it should mean we have a very easy time in getting even more stone than we already had. We can also farm these quartz boulders with them, I think. So let me try that out as soon as you're done over there. Ooh, that's a lot of stone, so we can use some of that. Hold on. We can use some of that to make some more of you. So there we go. I'm just producing a couple of them while we're here anyway. Let me see. Can I throw you at this thing? Yep. And like I said, it's gonna take me a little bit in order to get this to work. But with enough of them, you should be able to clear out these quartz things very quickly. And look at that. That's actually quite a few pieces of quartz. Yeah, that's like 10 pieces. So it feels slow, but it definitely isn't compared to just walking around and getting them manually yourself. Oh, but actually, this might also mean I can actually clear out these ancient containers now. Because, yeah, I couldn't do damage to them before, and you can't actually open these up. These are like hidden beneath the rocks. But I assume that now, yep, I can actually clear them out and get some nice rewards. Okay, well, no need to despair, because we can just go back to the diviner. We can dump a whole bunch of rocks that I can now super easily farm. Let's see how many we need. We need 80 of those. We need some stumpy sparks as well. quite a few of them actually. And then we need some rocky sparks. We have them over here now. And we need the one arty spark that we got from the quest, and we can already turn this in. Now that means that we can start making these in our spark workbench rather than have to go back to the shrine. Okay, that is nice and all, but that means I think I need to kind of revisit my factory a little bit, and there's quite a few things to do. So first of all, let's check out our spunny farm. Now as you can see, it came to a standstill, so apparently we lost a couple too many of those, but how much did that actually gain us? A couple of stacks of ether shards and a couple of ether pellets. Not the most impressive haul, but you know, it will do. I can just fill this back up with some of these spunnies, sparkies I mean, to kill the spunnies. And that should do the trick. Now let's make sure we help them out a little bit while we're here. Might as well just farm these. I should probably put in the choppy ones. They might be a little bit more resistant for death, you know, generally speaking. But for at least for the moment, this should do the trick. Okay, so first of all, someone in the comments mentioned I should be using Okay, so first things first. Someone in the comment mentioned that I should be using item filters to make my production line a little bit more efficient. Because as you can see over here, everyone is just running around in circles, even though they might not have anything to carry. So the item filter should allow me, and I'm not entirely sure which direction it works, so let's try this out. If you are not carrying where are you? A Stumpy Spark. Is this how we need to do this? There we go. You need to be carrying one in order to be able to pass. So let's see, is this one gonna turn back or is he going to be able to pass? He is going to be pass. Now, of course, he's gonna need to do the entire loop. But that should mean that as long as he's carrying something, he can pass through here. Let me actually just clear this out for a moment so we can test this out on some of the others. So if some of them do not pick up anything, so these two, for example, don't have anything to carry, yeah, they get stuck in here. So they don't run the entire lab once more, hoping that there will be something here once they return. Nope, only the ones that actually are carrying something will be allowed to pass on, just making things a little bit more efficient. That also means we probably don't need as many of these guys as I have here right now, so I can reduce the amount of these sparks on my paths by quite a bit. Okay, this is interesting. For some reason there's a bit of a hold-up here, and I think that might have to do with the fact that this is in a corner. So I'm gonna move this item filter just one space to the right. Yep, I think this looks a lot cleaner and a lot more organized, and above all, of course, a lot more optimized as well. Okay, so let's check out the quest overview. How do I get access to rope? We have the loom over here, which requires leaves and bark in order to make a rope. And you can tell that we actually need to unlock this first, by the way this is organized. I kind of like how this works, by the way. So that means we need to complete this quest in order to automate our leaf production, which is never a bad thing either. And in order to do that, we just need to turn in some choppy sparks and some tree bark. Now, I don't think I've actually automated that just yet. Well, we have a tree over here, so let's clean this out. Let's make that go choppy chop, and then of course we also want to kind of set up a tiny little roadway with a tiny little barrel over here, so you know we can start to collect that. Now I'm actually gonna use the carry sparks for all of my future carrying capacity, I think. Mostly because that just makes things look a little bit more neat. Now, how did you just pick up a leaf? I don't think I'm producing that, right? Nope. Okay, anyway, yeah, so let's put those on there, and then we should have the bark that we need in no time. Okay, there we go, and now we can go and unlock this. Is this actually also coming from a tree? Yeah, this is coming from a logger as well, so we're gonna need to set that up. Now, aside from needing the leaves and the bark in order to make rope, we actually also need the leaves to unlock the quest to make rope, so that's one reason to set it up. But more importantly, we also need some Pengus tendons, so I'm gonna need to farm some more of those pretty nasty dudes. Something is worth noting, by the way, that at this point in the game I am getting quite a few quests. There's quite a few other things that I can unlock, and I find it's most useful to just, you know, focus on one or two things and actually complete that before you know, kind of just running around your factory and building stuff without any purpose. Speaking of purpose, right behind the tree that is making our bark, we have another tree, so we can set that up to make leaves. There we go, I've set it up, and I also added some compressors to these production lines because I'm not actually using all that many leaves and bark at the moment, and this fills up really quickly, especially if you're producing 90 of them per minute. So I might as well start putting 90 of them per minute into the compressor, because as you can see here over with the bark, for example, this is actually turning into quite a few points to get some of that ether residue. So if you are into the cosmetics, this is a very easy way to farm some points. On the bright side, it doesn't look like my guys have too much trouble with these penguins anymore, because the choppy ones just do so much damage that they kill them quite quickly, normally. I say this, and of course this is by far the worst battle that I've done so far, but yeah, as you can see, I only lost one, I think? Maybe not even that. Sometimes they do get stuck, so they tend to get killed every now and then, but you barely lose any troops while getting these guys down, and you actually also get a pretty decent amount of loot out of that. Okay, well that's everything that we need in order to complete that quest, so now we can start making some rope by means of the loom. Okay, well that's slightly annoying. I need some stone plates as well as more of those tendons in order to make the loom, but I can't actually make plates yet. Which I guess means that we're first going to need to turn in a quest for quartz in order to unlock the stone plate producers as well as the drill. And this kind of proves my point about being all over the place if you're not careful in this game, because I remember we unlocked these sisters, but I then completely forgot that I actually went exploring because I needed quartz. Anyway, let's turn in that quest, and then let's unlock those buildings. And let me double check, by the way, what do I need in order to build a stone cutter? I just need stone. That's interesting, stone in order to build a stone cutter. And in order to build a drill, we're going to need some stone plates. So we're first going to have to cut up some stones before we can actually drill for them ourselves. And since we have that giant rock over here right next to our rocky spark shrine, I figured it might make sense to make a stone cutter here. So let's see, what does that do? We just put stones in and we get pebbles out, which is not really what we need. We need stone plates. So if I put a couple of crafty sparks in there, we're going to produce 5 of those per minute. So I'm just going to set up a couple of them to make myself some plates. Oh, actually I just realized that might be a good time to test out my copy-paste function. Yes, I have that now. Again, not entirely sure why we're unlocking fairly basic things through a menu like that, but you know, it is working. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I just realized I spent most of my stone building these things rather than actually turning them into plates, so I'm gonna have to find some more stone. Okay, there we go. So let's pick up some of those, and then, yep, that should make 20, and if I remember correctly, that should allow me to build a drill. Okay. So we have that over there now, and that means if I move this up a little bit, I can completely automate my stone production. Let's see, how much is this going to produce? This is going to, again, 90 per minute. That's quite nice. And this actually doesn't ask for all of that much. We are producing 5 per minute, which means we need about 11, I guess, per minute from stone. So I can set up quite a few of these things. Something like this, maybe. I have 4 of these stone cutters making plates now. I have 4 of these stone cutters making pebbles. Not sure what I need pebbles for just yet, but you know, you can never be too prepared. Now let's add some storage boxes to that. Let's add a little road. I like how easy it is to build stuff. And, oh, actually, hold on. I switched to my fighty sparks a little bit too soon, I think. Well, let's swap those around, and I don't know, we probably don't need all that many of these on here, but yeah, this should allow me to stack up that really quickly. Now I have stone plates, I should be able to make some rope. Well, farming the materials for the loom took me a little longer than I would have liked. Well, honestly, I did farm enough for 5 looms, so, you know, I might have overdone it a little bit. But let's see, I can build this anywhere I want. This is going to produce me a little bit of rope, and I need both the leaves and the bark that I have available over here to do so. So yeah, let me just set this up in a way that is a little bit efficient and doesn't cause too much congestion when my sparks are running around. Okay, so I tried to do a lot of things with smart pathing, but honestly it is way more trouble than it's worth, I think. So for example, over here I need 2 of every 3 of the carriers to go to this unit, and then 1/3 of the carriers to go to this other unit. I tried to do that like this, and honestly it kind of works, but the problem with that is that if there's any imbalancing, by the way, this is going to become a complete mess. But also, this is going to limit my throughput from these buildings by quite a bit, because of course, the carriers become slower once they actually start carrying stuff, so it's going to slow down everything by a lot. So in the end, I decided to keep it simple and just go with something like this. Now this is going to have 3 intersections. I can feed in the leaves and the bark from the outside on these ones, so that doesn't actually need 4 intersections for 4 buildings, just the one less. And yeah, all in all, this should be relatively efficient. I mean, it's gonna take a little while for all of these buildings to buffer with leaves, as long as we have enough on the path. However, it's not really gonna be a problem. The main problem is this thing over here, because of all of these splitters turning back half of the creatures that already have materials on them, and that's just not gonna be efficient in the long run. So I'm gonna have to deal with that. And with a little bit more optimization, it looks something like this. So I have a splitter over here that is making sure that half of them are trying to supply these two and half of them are supplying these two. So that just makes things a little bit more efficient. And then just to make sure that guys like this that are still carrying items are being turned back, I have an item filter over here that makes sure that only empty carriers will go back to the source. Now, all in all, this is causing some congestion because all of this turning around and crossing paths and stuff like that is slowing things down. So this is definitely why you want to have the highest input item on the inner path over here, and which in this case is the leaves, because I need twice as many of those. Is this the perfect solution? I think probably not. I'll have to reiterate on that a little bit more, but as you can see, all the machines are working, even though this is a little bit messy, so I'll just leave it as it is for now. And with that, I think I'm actually going to end the episode here, because we did a lot of expanding, and the next couple of things that will allow us to do is pretty much complete every single quest from tier 4, I think it's called. Yeah. We should be able to complete pretty much all of this right now. We will also be able to clear out tier 4 in terms of the monument, and that's going to give us access to a ton of new stuff that will have to wait until the next episode, because otherwise this episode is never going to be released. So if you're still here, you are awesome, and I definitely hope to catch you in the next one.